Settings. Accessing archive. Authorizing. Access granted. Accessing file.
All right, we are rolling, and I'm here with my new friend Liya Garber. How are you today?
I'm really good, excited for our time together.
Absolutely, me too. Thank you so much for coming on. I look forward to this conversation. We kind of outlined a number of topics that are pretty exciting to talk about, rather deep topics, but powerful topics nonetheless. You know, I think topics that need to be explored because there's just a lot of unanswered questions. And what do we do? How do we make a new paradigm of Kundalini experience? I know that that's what you're doing. You have created a practice for yourself called Aura Kundalini Yoga. And before we dive into the big topics at hand, I would just love to hear, how did you discover yoga? How did you find the Kundalini path? What was your training? Because I know you're a teacher. And, you know, where do you teach? And what is Aura generally?
Thank you. Feeling like taking a deep breath before I answer. So my journey started, I think from when I was very young. I was always in leadership. If it was a dance, if it was gymnastic, and I always had a lot of energy and power, and same also my family. So I do know when I was born, I was like, okay, something is up here. I found myself at age 18 and a half living in New York City, building a multi-million company for my partner at that time. And during the time that I was working, I felt in a certain point that I'm not healthy anymore. It's just too much for my system, too much for my body. I was very excited. Prosperity came in really strong. Our name, I was in the news in New York. It was kind of like I was out there. And in a certain point, I was like, I don't feel good. So I went to different yogas. I started with Hatha, and then one day I found myself going to Sanatana core class in integral yoga in Chelsea. And when I was in her class, she made us bring our arms to the side for a while. I think it was like 10 or 11 minutes. And we needed to circle them to the back with breath of fire, which I didn't have a clue what is that. And I started to cry really deeply. And I just heard something is going on here. So I went to her in the end of the class and I was like, I don't know how to pronounce your name, but what was that? And she looked at me so deeply in my eyes and she was like, you need to teach that. And I was like, oh yeah. And you know, I was in a party mode, totally like workaholic, wearing high heels, raving all over New York City, Lower East Side. And I didn't even think that yoga teaching will be my path. And I said, so how do I study? And she was like, go buy a DVD in the library and go study with Gurmukh, go to India and find yourself in an immersive, training. And I was like, oh my goodness. So I bought the DVD. I couldn't do the length of the practices of the DVD.
Sure.
Half of what was in the practice. And all the time Sanatana say, the Sanatana Gurmukh together, she said, look at her, she's 70 and I'm like 18 and a half. And I just cannot move my arms in the same length as both of them. Right. So basically I found myself in India and I was staying for 1 year and I was studying and teaching and having 2 yoga studios, one in Rishikesh and one in Dharamsala. I was renting a spot and I was teaching Kundalini all the time. And I felt that what it's doing to me, it's focusing me. Yeah. It's taking all the horsepower I have and all the fire I have. And rather than being like thrown to 10,000 different things that I want to do in my life, it helped me to narrow to the center, to be on the path of my purpose and on the path of my strength. We all have strengths and weaknesses. And my strength is intuition. My strength is to be honest, to be vulnerable, to deliver information in a way that is like super down to earth. And even though my English was a challenge for me, I felt the Kundalini energy honestly made me even be more clear with my language, which when I didn't practice, it was harder for me to express myself. So after a few years, I opened Aura, and Aura is a platform to empower the divine feminine, also the divine masculine, but I specialize with women and conscious pregnancy, conscious conception, women empowerment, conscious leadership for feminine leaders. And of course, I have also men that coming to study with me, but I can see, like, I'll be honest, the majority is women.
Sure.
And I also do teacher trainings for becoming a Kundalini teacher and weekly classes, workshops, and courses.
Wonderful. Wow. Yeah, it's such a powerful technology, Kundalini Yoga. When I first discovered it, it was a few, it was a few weeks, maybe a few months after what I call my awakening, which happened in the woods with magic mushrooms. People that have heard my podcast are very, very well aware of this experience. I've talked about it at length, so I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but I just needed to know what happened to me. And it was such a powerful experience. I didn't know what to make of it, but I go home, I start searching, what is spirituality? What is consciousness? What are mystical experiences? Because I just had one. And this term kept coming up over and over and over. Kundalini awakening, Kundalini arousals, Kundalini energy, Kundalini yoga. And I said, what is all this Kundalini? Let me read into it. So I dive deep into it. I read everything I can about it. I listen to all the YouTube videos about it. I used to have a job pushing carts at HEB, a local grocery store chain, and they let you listen to, stuff in your earphones while you're out there pushing the carts, like bringing them back in for people to reuse. And I was just milking this time. I'm getting paid. It's my job, but to learn about Kundalini, I'm listening to hour-long podcasts, hour-long documentaries, everything under the sun, Kundalini this, Kundalini that. I'm like, that's what happened to me. Whatever happened to me on the mushrooms in the woods was a Kundalini awakening. Like, it's lining up with everything I'm hearing. So a few months later, I hear about there's Kundalini yoga class coming to San Antonio. And I say, oh, now's my chance. Let me do this. So I go in, I have the experience. We do the tune in mantra. I don't know it. So I just absorb the energy of everyone around me chanting the Om Namo Gurudev Namo. And I'm like, whoa, whatever that was, like this first 30 seconds of class, I'm already like, I'm at home. Like, that was magical. Like, whatever just happened with all of us tuning in, that frequency just started opening my chakras immediately. Like, I almost wanted to cry. You know what I mean? It was just like, wow, how beautiful. Okay, and let's see what's next in class. And, we do some stuff. And I'm like, oh, this is hard. And it's weird because it's not hard in a way that Hatha is hard. It's not like, oh, it's stretching my hamstrings and I can't stand up on my one foot. It's hard in a completely different way. It's very intense on the nervous system. And as teachers, we know that what we're working on are the nadis, or the psychic energy channels that flow through the body. There's 72,000 of these energy channels. Most of them are dormant in most people. They're not using them. The ends are kind of fried up and they're not connecting all the way, but as you start using this practice, you start opening those energy channels, as well as the Ida, the Pingala, and the Sushumna, which are the central channels through which the Kundalini flows once it becomes unblocked, once we arouse it from the base of the spine so that it can ascend the chakras and bring us into these heightened states, these peaceful states, these spiritual states, meditative states. It's just such a powerful technology. And I loved it immediately. And I was like, whatever this is, I want more. So I kept going to class. Oh, wow, I can become a teacher. Like, am I called to that? I think I am. Let me take teacher training, and I took my teacher training. I did it once, got my 200-hour certificate. My buddy started seeing, who I call my yoga bro, Steven. he started seeing Kundalini changing me. He started seeing me becoming brighter and better and sharper and more creative. And he said, well, Matt, what is this Kundalini? Let me try it too. He came to class. He loved it. He said, I want to become a teacher. So I said, I'm going to go back to school with you. So I went back. I took Kundalini Yoga teacher training again. So I took it another 200 hours. So I got 400 hours now. Freaking loved it. And I would go again. That's how much I love it. You know, like I'll just become a certified 100 times if I need to, you know. It's just so fun. The community is all there. Like we're charging each other up. We're healing together. It's just such a powerful experience. Changed my life, you know, saved my life in many ways. So I start practicing, you know, I'm teaching, I'm holding circles. It's becoming part of our life. And then right around COVID, you know, something happened with our community, something big. Most people already know what it is. I don't have to go into all the details. A book was written, and it came to light that who had popularized Kundalini Yoga in the West, Yogi Bhajan, had committed many misdeeds. And so many of us lost respect for him. We thought, how could he do that? Like, I thought he was enlightened, you know? Clearly, we shouldn't be holding people on such a pedestal, and we're learning that. He's just a guy. He's just a man. He knew what was up. He was channeling some powerful teachings, but he still had the fallacies that all of us have. He wasn't perfect, you know? And so that was a humbling experience to learn someone who we held in such high regard was a lot less than perfect. So I had this heartbreak of, I can't practice this anymore. I don't know what to say. Like, it was heartbreaking. I was in mourning. This is a bad time. You know what I mean? And of course I'm tying in with the communities. I'm in the Facebook groups, and everyone else is, what do we do? What do we do now? Is it over? And I didn't want it to be over because it saved my life. But I did take a break from the practice for a few months, and I kind of fell into a little bit of a slumber. I started to not feel so good.
Yeah.
And I said, what is missing in my life? Why do I not feel like myself? And it came to me, you need to practice this Kundalini Yoga again. So I didn't read the books anymore. I didn't listen to the Yogi Bhajan stuff anymore. I just started doing the Kriyas I knew just from my own practice. And I got my energy back. I felt like I recharged my nadis and my chakras, and I started to feel more like myself again. So the big question is, you know, what do we do with this lineage, with this practice? In the wake of all of that? Because like, it still works, even though the guy was not so nice as we thought he was, you know? And I know that you're trying to create a new paradigm of Kundalini experience. And I feel like that's what I'm starting to do too. I've only taught a handful more times since I reintegrated this in my life, probably 10 times. But I certainly feel called to teach more, and I want to teach more. But I just want to open this conversation around, how do we teach this moving forward? You know, what does this all bring up for you?
Yeah, and I know this is a very sensitive subject, and I feel sensitive to talk about it too. And whoever listened to us, if you know about what happened in the past or not, thank you for being here. But I feel, for me, when the whole story with the leader of this community happened, even though he was not alive anymore, in a sense, I experienced a relief. I was very angry and very sad. And I also was like, I don't know, what should I do? I was very embarrassed. I was ashamed that I, quote him and put photo of me and photo of him during the years. And my family was supporting me, and I was talking with friends, and a lot of people were calling me and said, listen, whatever happened, you have to keep teaching, because you're gifted with this loving energy that you're sharing, and you'll see everything will reorganize itself. So what I experienced is first of all, a relief that I don't need any male or female leaders above me to lead me somewhere. I do know that in the past it was very popular and it was very necessary. As a mother, also I'm the leader of my daughter, and our ancestors are the people that giving us the information about the stars, the moon, the astrology, different things they knew before us. So, it is very important to listen to elders and learn and respect lineages. And we also witnessed on planet Earth that many spiritual leaders, if it's yoga teachers or other leaders, again, in a spiritual world or not, did and had moments of dishonesty, especially unfortunately with sexuality and women. And I feel it is very touching my heart, and it is a very important subject. So I decided to continue forward. I am continuing to teach Kundalini experience with the movement of Kundalini Yoga because I researched that for 10 years now. I see how it feels for pregnant women. I see the results for people that are confused. I see the results from people that have a heartbreak, healing trauma, healing addictions, divorce, mental imbalances. I see. So I believe that what is the most important for us as the leaders of the future is to focus on our inner strength and use the practice and go deep to our own vibration as teachers. The whole mantras is about Satnam, is about tuning to your own truth and find that truth inside. So for me, the new paradigm of Kundalini energy is that I bring a lot of feminine energy into it. I bring a lot of me and my clients and me are equal. I don't want to be on a pedestal. I've been in the past a little bit in my community. I saw it's just creating distance between me and my clients. I don't want to be on a pedestal. I feel it is so fun and so liberating to be a leader that is down to earth, that is not putting anyone on a pedestal. I am inspired by other teachers. I'm inspired by the elders. I'm inspired by gurus. I'm inspired by source. But there is no one or anything that I will ever find myself adoring, bowing, want to be like, telling others to bow to. Nothing. And that's a big lesson. I think it was Thich Nhat Hanh that said it, and I believe it, that the new guru or the new Buddha is a community. And I do feel that my community, or different communities we're building, we create an energetic together, a frequency of a change, a frequency of love, a frequency of healing. I see it as a container, as a womb container. You like to go to trainings. I like to go to trainings and to do workshops and immersions and retreats. Why? Because it's a womb. It's warm. It's a container. It's holding you to have your evolution. So I choose to teach, and I choose to take out of the teachings a lot of his teachings because I use my teachings and universal truth teachings, but I'm not quoting anything, using images out of a respect for all the people that did get hurt. And final thing about it is, there's so many yoga leaders that have been caught with a misconduct, and and it's an end of an era. So for us to continue the new paradigm is to stop doing that. And it's to use our energy, our money, our power, and our sexuality in a clean way. And if we're not on a pedestal, then I know in my community, if I ever did something that, or had a blind spot, my people lift me. They tell me, hey, look at that. And it's so amazing. But if I'm on a pedestal, nobody can tell me anything because they're afraid of me.
Right. Yeah. 100%. I love that. Well said. The first thing coming to mind is that while that teacher Yogi Bhajan, did popularize Kundalini Yoga in the West during the 70s, 80s, and so on. He is not the first teacher of Kundalini Yoga. This is an ancient practice, at least hundreds of years, maybe thousands of years. I mean, the term itself dates back thousands of years. The Kundalini Yoga itself, there was actually a teacher that was teaching Kundalini Yoga 30 years before, I believe, Yogi Bhajan was even born. It might be 30 years before he started to teach, but it was 30 years that before Yogi Bhajan, and this teacher's name was Swami Sivananda Saraswati. He's on Wikipedia. If you go to Kundalini Yoga on Wikipedia, you can see that he's one of the first sources to cite Kundalini Yoga and start teaching these practices. I have a book by one of his students called Kundalini Tantra, and in the book it's dedicated to Swami Sivananda Saraswati, because he taught this guy how to activate Kundalini and the teachings of Kundalini Yoga. So there's another book called Kundalini Tantra. You can find it on Amazon. I have it. It's powerful. It's certainly a little bit different than Kundalini Yoga as taught by Yogi Bhajan. But the essence of it is the same. We're still activating the nadis, the Sushumna, the Kundalini energy. The exercises are just a tiny bit different, a little bit, but the essence of it all is there. So my point is to throw away a practice that is powerful and that works because of one guy and his misdeeds doesn't make sense to me. I know a handful of people are saying, I will never practice it again. Like it's ruined for me now. I can't. But it goes back further than him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's what I think a little bit of the new paradigm is seeing the even more ancient roots than just who popularized it in America.
Yeah.
This thing comes from India. It's hundreds of years old, maybe thousands of years old. And yeah, a couple, one guy shouldn't be able to ruin it for the thousands and millions of people who love this practice. What would you say about that?
Yeah, I guess, the origins of yoga coming from long time ago, and I'm sure he was not the first one that invented it and brought it to the West. I have gratitude for this practice coming to my life, and I feel everybody should go and tune in with how they feel. I know some people will never practice it again. I know some people are really angry. I know some people don't care. I know some people even don't know. And I feel like, this is a time that there is enough going on in the world, and it's the time to simplify things, choosing from, a really honest place in ourselves. If I had an experience that I was done with this practice, always teaching it, I will just let it go. Each one of us can feel inside and see what is your heart telling you. I feel a lot of people put the practice in order to satisfy a teacher or a leader, and this is a lot of the majority of people that sometimes are leaving. Or, of course, I can understand why someone will say, I don't like that story. I don't like to hear those behavior. Then I don't want to do that. And in the same time, again, a lot of teachers did it in the past. So if we all choose not to practice yoga at all, it will be good for us? No, yoga is an amazing ancient wisdom that supports many humans on the planet right now to calm the nervous system, to go back home, to find the breath. I hear miracles for people with so many different practices, not just Kundalini yoga, any yoga. And in many kinds of yoga, we heard those stories. So this is the time that, it's a personal experience. Whoever feel called to continue to practice, then great. I think I chose to say yes to the practice and to shift the things that I didn't like. I don't want to wear all the time white. I don't want to cover my head all the time when I teach or when I don't teach. I don't want to do anything that is dogmatic for me. For me, I want to look the wild me when I want, the yogi me when I want, the divine feminine, all the parts of me. I feel for me, the new paradigm is not just to say that I want to be authentic, to really live in an authentic way. And I feel I'm finding that here in Berkeley, California, in my community, and also for myself, that to be a yoga teacher or a Kundalini yoga leader, teacher, whatever you want to call it, my life are not perfect. I go through hardships. I have moments that I am not fully awakened in my mind. I felt in the past I needed to hold a certain persona, dress in a certain way. And today I feel liberated. I am staying honest and true to myself and feeling the new way to take it is to really be me and feel free.
Amen. Amen. Yeah, I love that. It's funny because, Steven, I mentioned him earlier. He and I would sit in the woods and practice our yoga in our t-shirts and our skateboard shoes and, just looking chill, long hair, hippie guys, smoke a little weed, doing the yoga. And we said the same thing. We said, we don't need to wear all white to teach this. We're just bros, I don't want to be something I'm not. It's not like I wouldn't wear white. I wear white when I want to wear white. But as far as like, I can't teach it unless I'm in white.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it's a little silly. I mean, respect to that, the technology of using that to purify your aura. I get it. But all the time, yeah, I agree. I shouldn't. Guys, I can't teach you today. I forgot my white shirt. I'm not trying to do that.
Yeah, and of course, I feel like, the idea for me, I was wearing white even before I did Kundalini Yoga. I was studying Kabbalah and Tarot and numerology and astrology and astral traveling and lucid dreaming in Guatemala. And I was studying in a sacred school at night in my dreams. That was my practice. And in that sacred school that I still go sometimes in my dreams, when I remember the address, there's a specific address to go before you go to sleep. And, we were wearing white a lot. And I feel the idea of wearing white is just a ceremony. When people get married, there is a white dress. When there's a ceremony, if it's a medicine ceremony, Kundalini ritual. So wearing white comes from a place of ceremony. Yes, holding space for people. I always say, I don't do anything to the people in my class. We tune into source energy, and there is a stream of energy we all bring with our hearts. So, of course, dressing up and being in a place of clarity and respect when we lead is something that is very important. But also remember, I don't live, I'm not a master that living in India and have, devotees. Today, the new paradigm is I'm a strong, powerful, loving, clear, devoted woman on a path of self-mastery. I am not a master, which means I'm on a path of self-realization. I'm on a path of taking the hard moments in my life and transform them into lessons. I'm on a path of, finding more and more ways to connect to source and share it with my people. And this is different. This is a new paradigm for me as well. And in the community that is just more liberating and more beautiful and more accessible. Don't we want to connect with many? For me, I feel one of my missions is I'm here to connect with as many humans on the planet to support the space for them to connect their mind, their body, and their soul. I'm not doing that. It's the space.
Yeah.
So also when we heal relationships between each other, we're healing the space. Same with yoga. It is space. It is a container. For me, the new paradigm, it is a feminine container. And I feel safe. I feel safe in my community. I feel safe as a woman. There's no any men around me that will tell me what to do. And if it will, I will know I'm doing the wrong thing, because this is an end of an era in many areas for us, and the world is going to change to a better place when humans respect the womb. This is where life comes from.
Yeah.
This is where men and women come from. I didn't choose that that's the way it's going to be. That was how source created it. So
Right.
respecting the womb, respecting the divine feminine, respecting the Kundalini energy, men and women, it's not even a gender. This is bringing a huge healing to the world. And that's why my passion is to work with that energy.
Yeah, I agree. Well said. And I want to say something too about the feminine and the masculine, which is, I have eyes and I could see that most yogas are, yoga classes are, it's full of
Yeah.
women, and it's being taught by women, like I know guys that teach, but it's fewer and more far between. But what I will say is, for some reason, the guys that I know that teach, specifically Kundalini Yoga, seem to be in touch with their feminine aspect.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to have an empath ability. They have empathy. They maybe are an empath. They can feel where other people are at. They can feel deeper energies like women can. They can tune in to deeper feelings, heart feelings. These guys, maybe we cry a little more. We feel things a little deeper. A good song might make us tear up, or a good movie. So some people, they just don't cry. It's just they're very masculine. Testosterone's flowing, and bro, why are you crying, bro? It's like I think there is something to be said about the feminine, and that being the new era of Kundalini Yoga. I agree with that. I would love to be led by females, like I find them extremely wise and magical beings, I mean, most of guys like, women for good reasons, of course they look great, but just the energy, right? Like the energy that the nurturing, motherly, the moon energy, it's just very healing. So I just want to echo what you're saying, and that, whether you're a guy or a girl and you're teaching this Kundalini Yoga, like to bring the feminine into the room, to touch in with your feminine aspect. That doesn't make you less of a man. It just makes you a more well-rounded human being.
Yeah.
Generally. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. And also for us, for women, we also in touch with our own masculine, for me to do things. I think, first of all, it's beyond gender. And second of all, I love what you're saying. And please source more of that, more of humans, men and women that are in touch with their empathy, that are in touch with their love, that are in touch with their emotions, that are in touch with their kindness. We need you. If you listen today, we need you. We need it. It just makes such a better world for everyone. Second of all, I feel like for me, some people's like, what is this divine feminine thing? This is like a fashion. I was like, no, I asked myself many times, and sometimes I had a doubt. I'm like, why is the divine feminine? But, as a mother, the divine feminine is repressed. We give birth. Nobody give us anything extra. We breastfeed I breastfed until age 3.5. Did someone sponsor me? How can I work? How do I do all of it? Where is my benefits? Where is my support? You know how much life force, to be pregnant? It's equal to climbing Mountain Everest, scientifically. So where is the respect for that? Same with the earth. The people that don't respect where they came from trash where they live on. And that's what I'm talking about. It's beyond me as a woman. I want my daughter, when I see that my daughter is honoring when she's a teenager, now she's 6, but when she's a teenager, she will honor me and not fight with me or find like explosions with me. I'll know I did a good job. Because I always tell her, respecting the mother and the father, respecting the connection to where we came from. Of course, if it's healthy and not abusive, then that's also a support to teach our next generation how to protect this earth. Because that's where we came from. Isn't it what are we made from? So for me, to have humans that have a genuine love inside of them, which the practice of Kundalini or any other yoga can activate, make you remember to connect to where you came from and to connect to the mother womb, which is connect to the mother earth and not destroy this planet.
Yeah. Amen. So good. What's coming up next is, I just wanted to kind of say about how I touched on how this practice dates further back than the last guy who popularized it in the West. There are other books. There's even actually an older tradition. Believe the book was written in 1863, which is the initial teachings of Kriya Yoga. Mm-hmm. So in Kundalini Yoga, we use this technology called Kriya, which are the certain movements that, again, activate these nadis, chakras, energy to flow through the body to do its healing magic. And so there's a several iterations of this technology. One's called Kriya Yoga. One's called Kundalini Yoga as taught by Swami Sivananda. One's called Kundalini Yoga as taught by Yogi Bhajan. So I just want to make it clear that I think people that feel like the practice is done because of this last guy that popularized it, please read back further, do some research, read into these other books, read into these other lineages, see how connected it all is. They're all the same technology. So there's a lot to be discovered. And we, the new leaders of the new paradigm of Kundalini experience, it's on us to inform ourselves, and also share these stories and share these messages so that other people know that exists too. So many people don't know there's older Kundalini lineages. There's Kriya Yoga. What's that? I've never heard of that, Yeah. And I'm not trying to recommend go do Kriya Yoga, but I'm just trying to say like these technologies date back further. I teach Kundalini Kriya. That's the way I kind of say what I do now. So Kundalini Kriya is informed by our tradition of Kundalini Yoga, but also Kriya Yoga, which I have books about and I've been practicing for years. They're similar. It's like you can do a handful of Kundalini Kriyas, like the ones we are aware of, and then shift into a Kriya Yoga meditation. So Kriya Yoga is very heavy on meditation and visualizing the chakra system. For example, one meditation in the Kriya Yoga lineage is pretty much light up all your chakras, open the 1,000-petal lotus, have a cosmic experience. And I find that if you warm up with some of these Kriyas that you and I are very familiar with, and then do that Kriya Yoga meditation, the body and the mind and the spirit is in a perfect place to receive that experience. So just an example of what that meditation is. You focus on your root chakra and you pronounce these couple of sacred syllables. I believe one of them is Lam. One of them is Ram. And so on. I don't fully remember all of them right now because usually I'm being guided, or I have the book in front of me. I could see them. But so you focus on that root chakra for about 5 minutes. You're visualizing the root chakra. You're feeling where your bottom of your spine connects to the earth, and you're repeating Lam, 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 Lam. 5 minutes. You go up to the next chakra. And you say the next one. You go up to the next chakra. You say the next one. 5 minutes per chakra. That's going to take you a good 20, 30 minutes, So you're in a meditation for a heavy minute. But by the time you get to the 1,000-petal lotus, the crown chakra, you're deep in it. You're deep in it. And you have, if you've done it well, and this is a practice, you might not do it right the first time, but you're going to have a Kundalini awakening. And it's very powerful. So I just wanted to say that is, while we are kind of trying to clear this energy from the lineage and move on to a new kind of paradigm, there's a lot of research out there to do. And it's not just coming from one single source, this idea of Kundalini Yoga. What would you say about that?
Thank you so much, Matt, for sharing. First of all, I think, there's a region of yoga that came from Egypt. It goes far to there. I'm not going to go into the history of all of it right now, but what I know is that I want to clarify for a second, what is Kundalini energy? and what is
Yeah.
Kundalini experience.
Mm-hmm.
So, we can take all the words and all the facade from all of it and just saying that we as humans can be experiencing heavy emotions and thoughts and identify with our thoughts and with our heavy feelings and be stuck there for a long, long time. Mm-hmm. And living in an illusion that we are the thoughts and the feelings, which blocking our life from being more joyful, more fulfilling, and most important, you and me are here to fulfill our life purpose. We have a global purpose together, which is to bring light to planet Earth, which we are a little bit not doing it. And the second part is that each one of us is structured and born with a certain voice, look, accent, smell, behavior that is programmed and structured specifically to do a certain purpose that you are meant to do. Purpose is very important to keep the mind and the body and your actions in strength. I see elders that have a purpose and in their 80s or even 90s, they're functioning so well. Why? The mind have a purpose. It's not just here to get old. And a lot of people, and even my grandma is one of them, that don't have a purpose in the mind are staying in a physical form for long and many years, but there is no connection. It's hard to watch. So I feel one of my purposes is to empower other people to connect to their purpose. Now, what you said, so Kundalini experience, it's about activating the breath, so it's not shallow. I'm not looking for anyone to have a full-on awakening. I think it's a lot. But it is an inner arousal of your heart and your senses and your passion and your inner light. It doesn't mean that you need to be fiery. It doesn't mean that you need to move fast. It doesn't mean that you need to be awakened or to have a Kundalini experience. It means you want to say yes to fully be in your body and fully enjoy the sense of smell and touch, hearing and seeing and experiencing your consciousness in this evolutionary time. Now, when you said about these mantras that you were chanting, it's interesting because for me, Kundalini experience started with study Kabbalah. And all the teachings of Kabbalah speaks about the tree of life as a path in your body, which is the path of how your energy moves. And the pineal gland, the pituitary gland, are the mystical Kundalini energy. And it is like learning Kabbalah for me was all about understanding how to activate the pineal gland in order to have clarity. And the word Kundalini was in all the books of the Kabbalah that I was studying. So I started to understand, and through being silent for 60 days, which you can move your Kundalini, which is actually your creative force in you, your life force energy, your sacred power, through quiet, through being silenced for a long time, through vipassana, through sacred geometry, through meditation, some people psychedelics, whatever people choose. I see that for me, Kundalini experience is helping to clarify, purify my mind, tuning into universal kind of truth or my truth, and functioning from a place of clarity and the least amount of resistance and not moving with my pain all the time, especially when we have hard moments in life. I'm having like pretty intense 2 years in my life right now. And I didn't have that before in my practice. It may become with age or my karma. Who knows? Definitely, probably my karma. But in the last 2 years, I see how this practice helped me to not hold anything in my body. Like I'm having an experience and then the yoga helps to move it. So yes, Kriya yoga is there. Kundalini yoga is there. Silence, Kabbalah, anything that resonates with you, treating it in a sacred way and studying from people that are honest can enhance your whole life. your whole experience as a human being on this planet.
Amen. Absolutely. Well said. Yeah, you said you were having a tough couple years. I get it. I've been there too. But what I do find so beautiful about this practice, about Kundalini Yoga and meditation and mantra, is that I can find when I get into the deep states after I've practiced a set, practice a meditation, and I'll be sitting there just kind of soaking it in. I can find gratitude even for things that are tough, even for things that aren't going my way, or a thing that I wanted to happen didn't happen. I can kind of see, maybe it wasn't meant to happen.
Yeah.
I wanted that. I thought I wanted that. But in this deep meditation I'm in now, I can see, maybe it's a good thing that thing didn't happen that I thought was going to, or I hoped was going to, or I was putting a lot of energy and it's supposed to happen. I can just I inwardly find this deep bow for the universe, for even the hard times, even the pain, the hurt that I've experienced, because it's a lesson. So I kind of say just like, thank you for this lesson, a gratitude for this lesson. It wasn't a nice feeling when I had the pain. It wasn't a nice feeling when the thing didn't go my way. But I can see the silver lining in it. I can see how it's making me better and I'm becoming stronger thanks to it. And that's why I think this is such a powerful technology, is like, what else in life can make you so grateful for even things not going your way? I mean, not a lot, What would you say about that?
First of all, I love this beautiful sharing and authenticity. And I think, also if the name of this podcast is a new paradigm, in the past, I felt, I was not sharing that I had a hard moment. It was just, being bright and glowing in the skin and, being, it's not spiritual if we're having a hard moment. So I feel like, being down to earth, I'm always sharing with my people, and I'm not sharing what exactly is happening in my life. It's not nobody's business to process, but I feel like, I was saying in class, I am not perfect. I don't have everything nailed because I have a practice. If I teach, Kundalini experience, Kundalini energy, doesn't mean that everything is flowing great in my life. And yes, I think it is this practice helping me and supporting me many times, like you said, finding the beauty, also the planet Jupiter in me, the positive, charismatic part that always see the goodness in things. I have one friend in the yoga community always say, Liya can find everything that is so hard and so intense, and she will find what's good about it. It's like just her chart is like, Jupiter. And
Same.
Yeah, it's a lot of, we are Jupiter friends.
Yep, 100%.
So yeah, I feel it is helping when we practice and breathing. I think the breathing is a magic, because most humans, we breathe like very shallow. And sometimes I feel that people that come to the class and we will be 11 minutes or 4 minutes doing some people on the planet maybe will never breathe this amount of prana, life force, into their lungs in their whole life, in one class that you go. So it's a thought that I have, and I believe that this thought is true, that the breath is refreshing so much the lungs and moving so much energy that you can have a new experience and a new perspective on your pain and your sorrow and your grief and your hardship in one class. One class of Kundalini experience can shift a lot in your life.
Absolutely.
A lot.
It really can. I've had that thought so many times. I agree 100%. Because the technology will make you feel things in your body you didn't even know were possible. For example, there's this Kriya. I'm forgetting the name of it. I've only practiced it maybe 3 times because it's so intense, and I don't recommend someone go do it. I think it's a highly advanced one, so don't start off with this. But it's one where you interlace your fingers here at the third eye, and you just hold this for 30 minutes. Do you know what
Jupiter,
it's called?
it's Jupiter Kriya is a Kriya for prosperity.
It would be Jupiter Kriya. Wow. Okay.
And it goes with the mantra Hare 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 Govinde.
Yep.
Hare
Yep.
Hare Hare Hare
That one
Mukande.
made me feel a tidal wave of energy through my whole system. And I didn't know I could feel that, you know? It was the closest thing to psychedelics or psychedelic experience that isn't a psychedelic experience that I've ever experienced. And so I agree that these classes and this Kundalini experience is just so powerful, and you will never, so many millions, maybe even billions of people have lived and died, never had that feeling, never breathed that deep, never charged their body with so much prana. I agree. And that's why it's such a powerful technology. Side note, on Jupiter, I don't even know if you know that I'm also a musician. And I just put out an EP called Jupiter.
I saw it last night. I looked.
Yeah, you should hear it. So I don't know if it'll be your style because it's a little intense.
It
but
is my style. Like, I listened last night.
Oh, thank you. So the last song, though, is a meditation track, which I think would be your style for sure. And it's called Microcosm. And it's very much about that kind of smaller world within the larger. You know, there's the microcosm, there's the macrocosm. As above, so below. You know, what's happening to us is happening in the heavens. And then what's happening lower than us too, to the bug realms, and the realms below the bug realms, to the bacteria realms and the amoeba realms. And it's just like this big fractal. Anyway, I love Jupiter. It's heavy in my chart. It's actually in my house of career in Vedic astrology, saying your career is charged with Jupiter. So, you know, I really relate to that. And actually, it's conjunct with Ketu, the headless planet. So when Jupiter and Ketu come together, this makes a very yogic person. And so a yogic person in the house of career, it's just like, of course it would be. Of course, that's who I am, you know? So Jupiter fam, let's go.
I want to add something here. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So first of all, yes, for the Jupiter friendship, and yes, for the Jupiter Kriya. And I want to say something about, being spiritual or being a yoga teacher and also have a business. I feel the new paradigm for me is that, yes, I do I teach teacher trainings for people called self-mastery. And again, is the path of self-mastery to master our thoughts and feelings. It's not about I'm a master or my clients will become masters. But what am I seeing here is that I feel in the past, the teachers used to say, don't make or monetize on being a yoga teacher or a leader. And for me, in my understanding, why not? Why not? Because I thought I'm a really good salesperson. I was selling in New York City soaps to most of the celebs of New York City. I was selling mountains of soaps a day.
You're going Tyler Durden on it. Let's go.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that I didn't enjoy to create trash.
Sure.
I was wrapping those soaps in a paper, then in a plastic, then in a bag. The amounts of trash was not really great for my heart. I was like, I'm done. And at Christmas time, I had, wrapping paper until my knees in the Soho. We were having 12 stores. I was managing all of them. I had 400 employees, and I was just like wrapping like a fairy. It was like flowers flying around us. And I'm like, so then I born with a charisma and magnetism to attract other people to what I do. To sell a product for me, because I also care about the earth, and I also connect to the natives, and I also connect about climate and think about how my daughter will see dolphins and whales and have fish in the ocean. I feel that a job for me, it is great to work with energy. Guess what? There's no any trash I'm producing in my work. There's no
Yeah.
any product I sell to someone from being in my consciousness, rather than supporting other humans to tap into their heart. So I think it is a very great trend. I think it is very great that it's fashionable to be a teacher. And yes, we are here in the new paradigm, holding each other accountable and using our power wisely. But I feel, as a Jupiter sister and someone that is charismatic and can affect many, then leadership right now is the way to go, because I don't want to sell any product. I don't want to create any trash in the world.
I love that. Yeah, well said. Yeah, I want to say something about energy exchange, because I know a lot of people on the spiritual path kind of they have this issue with money. They feel like it's bad, like it's the root of all evil. I can't teach for money, I want to just say what I do. Everyone's open to do what they feel called to do. I'm not trying to give you a prescription of how to do it, but I'm just trying to say I teach donation-based classes. I say the donation is between $11 and $22, whatever you feel called. If you just want to experience today for free, you can. Like, I'm not going to hold it against you. You can come for free a whole bunch of times if you want. Eventually, you're going to want to give back because it's going to do something for you. So I'd rather people come and sit for free than like stay blocked out because they can't afford $22. So that's just personally what I do. And I find that it works. And here's why. I say 11 to 22. People give me 33. People give me 44. People give me 55 because they see the container I'm creating and they're grateful and they have the means to afford that. So by doing a donation-based class, instead of just like, it's $20 and you can't come if you don't pay, sometimes I make more, and then it evens out because someone gets to sit for free and they wouldn't have tried the practice otherwise. I'd rather them try it.
Yeah.
So in the new paradigm of Kundalini experience, I kind of do think, at least for myself, donation is working. And I just wanted to share like a story of like how it's working and why there's a pro side to it and not just a con, So for myself, I think we need to get over these stories about like, you can't have a spiritual quote unquote job, being a yoga teacher and actually make money from it. I think we need a form of energy exchange, and it's not because I need a mansion. It's because if you put something into it, when someone gives you something for free, you don't always prize it as much as something you bought. You know what I mean? It's like we get what we pay for in a sense, There's this theory in marketing, which I have a little bit of experience in due to working with Sheath. I do help with marketing that is kind of like, like the price point that you pay a thing for is what you value it at. If you get this thing on like super, super discount, 90% off for $10 when it's usually $100, you're kind of like, hey, this thing's actually only worth $10. If you buy it for $100, you're like, no, this thing is sick. This thing it cost me $100. So, it's just, we got to flip the script a little bit on money and wealth, prosperity in these communities as we move into the new paradigm.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah. I want to share that I lived in India and I was teaching in a studio that I was renting, and we were charged. It was my two friends of mine and me. And in the training, I remember that when I started with Gurmukh, she said, don't ever do it for free. And I tried. I said, you know what? The class costs, I don't know, remember how much rupees was it in India? And then it was few people said like, I love your class. It's so amazing. And I'm traveling and I don't have like money and I would love to come for free. And when they paid, they came to every single class. Guess what happened after I said free?
They stopped
They
coming.
never came.
Yeah.
And this is what I teach in my training. And I'm saying, listen, money is a living energy. Money is also a manifestation and extension of your energy in this realm. Yes, in the past we exchanged chickens or seeds, or tomatoes, or vegetables, and maybe some of it is having a comeback. I'm so into, closing swaps and like using things again. And in the same time, I'm really into teach women and myself and my daughter how to be prosperous, and men, all of us.
Yeah.
I'm very feminist. I'm working on the two things together. I think prosperity is important because I'm saying to myself, what is better, that the people that causing pain and negativity in the planet have all the resources to continue to cut rainforests, or better all the natives will have it, or better all the people that have good ideas. Because my money goes to farmers market. My money go to a Waldorf school of my daughter. My money go to farmers. My money goes to other yoga teachers that need support. My money go to advertise goodness in the world. So why don't all the people that do want to do goodness in the world have lots of prosperity to continue to bring that prosperity to those communities? I don't do anything in the mainstream. I don't go to any mainstream shop. I don't buy any things that harming the world, mostly. Of course, here, I bought a compostable cup today. But still, so I feel like I believe that the people of, I don't really even going to use the word spiritual. Everything is spiritual.
Yeah.
Even the negative is spiritual. But the goodness of the people that want to take this planet to a good, vibration, which is caring for the animals, the land, the food, the kids, the consciousness, the feminine, the birth, the rebirth, we need to have the prosperity, because we will send it to the good places. So yes, for donation base, for me, I have high tickets to most of my things that are expensive, and I give a lot for free. I don't advertise on the internet. I have a lot of single mothers that don't have money to pay for my classes. They get some free stuff. A lot of people that wants to come to things that I do, and they send such a beautiful email and a request, and I'm like, of course. But it's not something I advertise. There's some things, good, beautiful things we do and give under behind the scene that is it touching my heart, But I do see that when there is an exchange, if someone cannot pay for something, then exchange with work exchange, support, vegetables, fruits, something. So the energy, like you said, is clear and even, and people don't feel like they just take, because in the end, they won't enjoy it.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, that just gave me the memory of one time someone came to my class and they kind of said, "Hey, dude, like, is it cool if I like just give you this to attend?" And he gave me this dope crystal. And
Beautiful.
I was like, yes, this is freaking beautiful. Wow, thank you. I got more excited than the money. He's like, so I'm just saying, like, just be creative, like bring a crystal, just bring a flower, like it's just something.
Or come to class, work on your consciousness, and come back and have tons of prosperity from understanding how to use your creativity to not feel like you don't have enough. I came from zero. I'm an immigrant. It's not that I'm a millionaire today, but I came from not knowing the language, not being in this country, not being native to here, and not even thinking I want to be a yoga teacher. And today when I teach people to be teachers, I say, you can do it. I know, because I climbed from a place of not having nothing.
Okay, so we're running low on time. So I did have two more topics I want to touch on real quick. We'll stay around 5 minutes per topic. So the first topic is trauma. So this is something I only recently learned about a year ago, about how animals discharge their trauma. So let's say an antelope is getting chased by a cheetah. It escaped. It outran the cheetah. The cheetah went off and did something else, but like it has this trauma now. Holy shit, I almost just died. I'm freaked out. So what the animal will do is it'll lay on the ground and it will shake. It'll shake its trauma so that it doesn't carry it into tomorrow and into the next day and into the week and into the month ahead. And it can go back to grazing and keeping, tending to its young. Now, humans don't do that. We pick up trauma and we just bury it into ourselves. We just drink and smoke and everything under the sun to just not feel it. I think what Kundalini Yoga does is, after some of these Kriyas, it says, shake it out, shake the arms, shake the body, keep going, shake, keep going, shake more, shake harder, shake faster, and release. And you just feel this, like peace sweep over you. I wanted to say, I think that, that's the technology that the animals are using when they discharge their trauma. We're kind of doing it forcefully. We're not sitting down the way the animal does it, but it's still accomplishing the same thing, where we can move that energy through the nadis and shake off that trauma. You know what I mean? And it's not like just doing it one time is going to rid your body of the trauma that we store. I recommend everyone check out this book called The Body Keeps the Score.
Yeah.
And it's just a very powerful book. I think it's
an amazing
Dr.
book. A lot of my clients read this book and had like profound awakening from it.
Totally. So I just wanted to say, like, when it comes to the shaking aspect of Kundalini Yoga that we teach, I just get this inkling that that's what we're doing. We're shaking the trauma off of our body. Would you agree with that?
I agree with, I don't know exactly if the shaking will move the trauma, but I know that what you said is this practice specifically, I like the correlation together with the animal. I didn't think about it. So this is very beautiful connection. I like how you connect so many dots with your, with what you think and what you see. So beautiful. I feel, there's some people that have trauma and the last thing they need is Kundalini Yoga. And there's some people that experience trauma that the best thing for them is Kundalini Yoga. So it is very, depend how we are wired. I have a lot of clients that come to me. My therapist told me to heal their trauma, I have to go to you. So I start to have this routine that I had one therapist that I really like in the Bay. I work with a lot of healers beside myself. I'm surrounded by healers that I love. And it started to be a routine that a lot of people go to my class and then they go after to this specific modality was EMDR, which is movement of the eyes and vibrations in the hands. It's an amazing form of modality of therapy. And the client and the therapist, which is my friend, of course, everything was confidential. They say, this is amazing. Like I'm doing this Kundalini practice and I move on my body. I shake, like you said, I move. And then I go and I process all of this with my healer. Or I go to my healer and then I go to your class and then I move what came up. So as I said, I continue to teach it and passionate about it and having a sensation of a new paradigm about it, because I see for an era, 10 years of people that do deal with heavy, severe trauma and work with the support, with the practice. And of course, when I finish the class, I ground everyone to the earth. And there is a huge release of trauma. So yes, Matt, I do believe that when we shake, when we breathe, when we move, there is a huge release of things that we store in the body that maybe in the mind we already understood.
I agree. Wow, well said. I love that. So my last topic here is synchronicity. So this is something I just explored on my last podcast, pretty deep, and I've touched on it a ton of my podcasts. But for myself, when I use Kundalini Yoga and I walk out of the room after, I just feel like my mind is so clear and I can see better. It's a breath of fresh air for my perception. And I can connect dots a little better, and I feel like these magical moments of synchronicity just appear more rapidly the more I practice this yoga. And I think that there's something to it. Like as we're practicing it and clearing the mental cobwebs and getting off that hamster wheel of the mind that just repeats the same thought loops over, we break through that. with this technology, and we can see synchronicity in our life, which is these feelings of like, wow, like I just had thought about that and there it is. It popped right in, like sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's a day, but like you'll have this idea that you want something to manifest in your life and boom, it'll hit you pretty soon after. So I just wanted to say, like, have you had this experience with synchronicity and in combination with Kundalini Yoga? And if so, what would you say about it?
Beautiful. Yeah. I know that the idea of working with Kundalini energy is to synchronize the body, mind, and soul. So why do we want to synchronize the body, mind, and soul? Because the body is the vehicle of your soul. The mind is kind of like the computer inside your consciousness. And then, so the body, the mind, and the soul. So then your actions, your thoughts, and your words have alignment. So you don't meet someone and in your head you're like, oh, what the fuck, I don't want to talk to this person. But you're like, hey, so good to see you. Oh my God, I didn't see you for so long. This is an inner betrayal. Like there is like, the mind and the words and the emotions are not in alignment.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I did it in my life. Yeah, it was, we all did. As more I practice and as more I, melting the fear or melting, different thoughts, then my words are matching and synchronizing with what I feel. And if I always say to people, who are you? If your thoughts create reality, but you're not your thoughts, who are you?
Your soul.
You are the observant. You are the awareness. You are the awareness that is aware of the thought. So when you practice Kundalini, one day I have that thought and I came to one of the elders. She was my guide for many years. She loved the planet. Her name is Celestine Star, and I love you so much. And I came to her one day. I was teaching, and I was like, I came with this question to my students, and she was like, "What was it?" And I said, "If your thoughts create reality, but you are not your thoughts, so who are you?" And I asked her. I said, "I didn't know. Again." We all on that path together. And she said, sweetie, you are the awareness. And I was like, oh yeah. So synchronization starts to be when we are allowing ourselves to be aware and practicing, like what you said, melting the noise and all the thoughts. And then we start to be aware that everything is connected.
Yeah.
And I shared with you, like in another moment, we talked about amazing. I had last week, I was teaching a 5 a.m. class because for me, Kundalini experience come deeply in an early morning practice before the sunrise. So whoever hear this podcast, you can join me sometimes to morning practices or do yourself, put an alarm, go to sleep early and practice with the sunrise and collect the prana, because for me, this is where yoga is with the sunrise, with the sun. So it was 2 weeks ago, I was teaching a 2-day 5 a.m. classes. And the moment the class ended, I went out to the real world and it was a non-stop synchronicities. I'll give example of one of them. I was saying to my friend how much I need a summer camp for my daughter. And I was like, I was so stressed, and then suddenly in between us, this like amazing woman say, hey, Liya, it's Karen. And I'm like, hey. And she's like the manager she's the owner of that amazing camp for kids, which is very conscious and exactly what I'm looking for. And I'm like, hey, do you have space for my daughter? She was like, of course, call me tomorrow. My friend looked at me. We both like, this is amazing. And then after a few minutes, I was saying, oh, I really want to teach in LAB this year. And I got a text, hey, do you want to be in the Gong Bath sanctuary? And I was like, I cannot do it. But yes, source, you heard me.
Yeah.
So it's like big stuff. It's not like just synchronicity with parking or synchronicity with thinking about someone and you see them. It's like some powerful synchronicities that can change my summer or my career. So yes, for breath work, eye gazing, mantras, movement, asanas, community will bring medicine to our life. And remember, whoever listened to us, that the new paradigm is that you are focusing on yourself, on your strength, on your leadership. You do not bow to anyone that you don't know. Even stories from books, I don't know all of these people. So I bow to source, I bow to universal truth. And I'm inspired by Matt. I don't put Matt on a pedestal. I'm inspired by Gurmukh. She's not my everything. This is people that I'm inspired from, because if we do that, when people put me on a pedestal in my classes or telling me I'm your new groupie, someone told me and I said, I love you, and it can hurt my ego. I don't need that. Honestly, I don't need to be fed in that way. It's actually hurt in the end me as a teacher. So stay down to earth, new paradigmers.
Wow. Love it. Thank you so much, Liya. That was an amazing podcast and super glad to be connected with you. Where can people find more from you? You know, give us your website, your social media handles, and all that good stuff.
You're so kind. My Instagram is Liya Garber. And my business, my extension, my soul business is Aura Kundalini Yoga .com, and also on Instagram the same. You can practice with me multiple times a week in Berkeley, California, or online. I'm live streaming everything. And I have my upcoming teacher training in September 15, which is fully hybrid, which is fully online and fully in person. And it's 8 weekends. We start at 4 a.m. and we are diving so deep. And Matt, you're invited to join to some of the models to see to practice with us if you want to.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here. And thank all of you guys for listening. And we'll see you on the next episode. Take care.